So the first thing you hear when you tell someone you've gone gluten-free is, well, but I can't give up bread. So that was the first thing I worked on as far as a recipe, and I felt I wanted a recipe that was somewhat nurturing and not loaded with all the over-processed white goods. So I looked to whole foods, things like nuts and seeds and things like that, and to be able to increase a source of soluble fiber, things like psyllium husk and flax seeds and chia seeds as well. So anyway, let's get straight into it. To start off, you need oats, and a lot of people have this aversion to oats thinking, well, that's not gluten-free. Well, in fact, it is, provided it's not processed in an area where gluten has been processed. So that's wheat, rye, and barley. Oats do have their own protein called avenin, and some people are susceptible. People who are celiacs may have an issue with it. So be conscious of your own needs. So oats, to that we're going to add some almonds, whole almonds, activated if you choose, which basically means soaking them in water overnight and then drying them out, allowing your body to actually digest their goodness a lot quicker. Sunflower seeds. Now these are all just wonderful textures, not to mention flavors, but all sources of fiber and goodness and things that feel more nurturing when you're eating them. Okay, we're going to add some flax seeds. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of chia seeds, actually 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, and about 3 tablespoons of psyllium husk. Now psyllium husk seeds aren't actually digestible, but what they are is they're a soluble fiber. So they get this wonderful sort of chewy wetness around them, and it actually helps with the digestion of food through your system. So our body won't absorb them, but they'll actually help you pass the food. So chia seeds, psyllium husk. Now to wet all these ingredients together, we take about 1.5 cups of water. We just warm it slightly, and then this is where we add our extra virgin coconut oil. Now there's so many benefits to this. 15 years ago, people were going, oh, you can't eat that, it's high in saturated fat. But what we've discovered is that the fat derived from coconuts actually lowers the amount of insulin your pancreas produces. The coconut water, one of the best forms of natural electrolytes you could ever find. So we have coconut, virgin coconut oil. Now we're going to add a sweetener to this. So I'm actually using brown rice syrup. You could use a little bit of honey. You could use a little bit of maple syrup. You can use agave. I actually like the idea of finding unrefined sugars. So then we just basically warm that through. So to melt the coconut oil itself and make it a little more pliable when working here. And to that, add a little pinch of salt. Now this is going to draw a little more flavor at the same time. So not unlike, I guess, totally different to making bread where you're relying on yeast and proving and fermentation and all that sort of stuff. This literally is just whack everything together in a bowl. Straight in. So you have your oven preset or preheated around about 350 Fahrenheit, which is about 175 Celsius. And this is all you're doing. And what you're finding is the liquid is being absorbed by the oats. The psyllium husk is activating, as are the chia seeds, and becoming this great sort of binding agent. So we haven't had to add all these different gums and emulsifying agents and things like that. Totally natural, nourishing, delicious, tasty. Now at this point, as you can see, it starts to thicken. Take yourself a baking tin, like a loaf tin, line it, or if you're using silicone, straight into the silicone, making sure it's been washed first. Push it in, spread it out. Now you may let that sit for a good 20 minutes to half an hour if you choose to, and what it'll do is actually firm up a bit like a brick. Now it is super dense, this bread, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to go and eat half a loaf to a whole loaf because there's actually so much goodness in it. Let that sit, pat it down, and then after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, pop it straight in the oven. Let it do its thing for about 40 minutes, turn it out, and then dry it out for about another 30 minutes. Now you will get this hollow sort of knocking noise to it once it's cooked and cooled down. So it has this wonderful noise to it, but not to mention, it smells incredible. It's whole, it's like a brick. And at this point, it is really delicious, super fresh. Now remember this, it's totally vegan, it's gluten-free, dairy-free. With this wonderful texture now, we could replace the hazelnuts with, the almonds with hazelnuts. You could do different nuts. You could add bakini or buckwheat grains if you wanted to, but it's super yummy. I like to take it that step further if we're thinking breakfast or we're thinking snacks and things like that, and making wonderful toppings like making a bruschetta using crushed peas or using fresh tomatoes. Your favorite toppings, it's entirely up to you. But breakfast, lunch, snacks, always a great meal, super delicious. Actually, in fact, rather than making one loaf, I'd make 2 loaves. The neighbors are going to love you for it.